and welcome back to Start a Business. You're at Module 5 and it's about behaving in a professional manner in the workplace. It's Unit Standard 114959. Okay, so there's ways to behave in the workplace, and the general rule is to behave in an ethical and professional manner. By professional, this can mean dress code. It's particularly important that you dress better than your customer would expect you to be. Nowadays, ties and suits are not as common as they used to be, but if your customer wears a tie and a suit, you should really think about doing the same yourself. So inappropriate clothing might be wearing a bikini or a mini skirt which goes right up your legs, or a blouse which is too revealing on your bust line. Be careful with this type of clothing, because this type of clothing can show that you're not professional or do not respect the customer well. Alright, I've got a case study for you. It's called the Performance Pays Off case study, and it's adapted from the Johnson Footwear Company many years ago when I was in the leather industry selling leather to the footwear industry. Mr. Johnson was an elderly fella and bought most of his leather from one of our competitors, another leather tannery. It was so disconcerting calling on Mr. Johnson week after week offering him leather from our tannery, and he wouldn't accept buying all of his leather from our competitor. However, my persistence eventually paid off when our competitor failed to deliver on time. It was just a sample order Mr. Johnson placed with us, but it was sizable enough to start our ball rolling with Mr. Johnson's factory. Sooner or later, we were half of his business, and our competitor couldn't understand how come we'd snapped half of the business away. My persistence as a salesperson had paid off. It wasn't about who I was or what we were doing, it was being persistent with our customer and offering a quality service and product to him that paid off at the end of the day. When we're dealing with ethics in the workplace, it's so important to listen carefully. Let me just read you 3 main things to care for when listening to people, listening to your customers, or even people within your own organization. Number 1 would be listening without judging what the other person is saying. Number 2 would be empathetic. Try to understand where they're coming from. Put yourself in their shoes so that you can understand what they're about, and therefore you can understand their situation better. And number 3 would be to encourage an ongoing discussion with your customer. Allow the discussion to go forward so that you can get more information and have a better understanding of what your customer's needs are. Let's understand what better listening skills would do for your company and for your organization. Have a look at this. They'd increase sales. But how would they do that? Because if you understand your customer's needs better, you can satisfy them and they'll return for more. Number 2 might be increased customer satisfaction. By understanding what your customer needs, you're able to satisfy them better, and again, they'll return for more. It also increases employee satisfaction. If you as a boss understand the needs of your employees, you're able to better cater for them, provide a better environment, which creates better productivity. Better listening skills also helps you to satisfy your employees better. By understanding what your employees' needs are, helps you to understand and create an environment for them which creates better productivity and ultimately better profitability. And just as a general, better listening skills helps you to become a better person, helps you to be empathetic with others and understanding. So create better listening skills in the workplace and in your organization, and you'll reap the benefits. As your business grows, so you're going to want to write up a code of conduct. Now, a code of conduct is something which sets policies in place for you and your employees to follow in the event of, say, for example, how to handle customers or suppliers or how to handle tenders. So a code of conduct lets your customers know how you're going to behave and how your employees are going to behave. Your code of conduct might talk about honesty, integrity, or even sexual harassment in your workplace. It's important that you, as the business owner, understand what sort of code of conduct you expect you and your employees to have in the workplace. You'll recall in a previous unit standard, we talked about body language. It's vital that your body language is open. It's not closed or shy or even maybe suspectful. No, your body language needs to be open, polite, and genuinely interested in what the customer has to say and where you're going to take the customer to or what products you're going to sell them. So you'll want your employees to create a friendly, open set of body language. All right, so we're at interacting with customers. And there's 3 or 4 main points to bear in mind here. Our first impression with the customer is a lasting impression. And that refers to our dress code, our body language, and how we handled the customer, our polite attitude, the way we smiled, our openness, our listening skills. Your first impression with the customer is a lasting impression. And they often say that within 30 seconds of you meeting a customer or a customer meeting you, they'll have an impression about you and your organization. So it's important that your first impressions are lasting impressions. Impressions of one of honesty, integrity, and openness towards satisfying the customer's needs. Greeting our customers is crucial. Greet them warmly. Welcome them into your store. They're your friends. Do you remember at a previous video? Make friends. When you say goodbye to a customer, make sure you keep eye contact. Shake hands warmly, firmly, and encourage them to come back if they've got any problems with the product or service that you've supplied. That's important too. They want to know that you're in business for the long haul, not just for the short-term money that you could have made off them today. Remember to always keep your promises. As I've said before, if you promised a customer that you'd get back to them with a query they had earlier on in the day, by the end of the day, make sure you do that. Even if the news you've got is not good news, make sure you get back to the customer and let them know the status of what their query is all about. We all have cell phones, as you know. Now, our cell phones often receive SMS spam from companies advertising their products and things. Where do they get this information from? You ask yourself. Isn't it annoying? Promise your customers that you will look after their information, that it's confidential to your organization, that you won't share it with anybody else. Your confidentiality about your customers' information is crucial. Building trust is part of customer service. And of course, the customer is king. We remember this from Module 3. If we don't believe the customer is king, we won't be in business for very long. So when we are with the customer, try to avoid conflict situations. Try to avoid situations where the customer feels smaller than you. Always lift the customer up. Listen carefully to his needs or her needs and make sure that you understand them and deliver them. Finally, always be on the lookout to how you can improve your service towards your customers. How you can improve the communication skills with your customers. How you can better interact with your customers. Improvement is the name of the game. You'll make mistakes every day, but if you continually seek to improve, you'll be on your way to making a successful business. As I've said before, people do business with people they can trust. Just think about that just for a second. People do business with people who they can trust. Think about where you go and buy your groceries, where you take your car for a service or get your bus tickets from, etc. You do business with people you can trust. So when you're a business owner, be careful what you think, because what you think, you'll end up by saying, what you say, you'll end up by doing, and what you do is who you are. So just bear in mind how you think as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, ultimately comes through at the end. Your customers will see the truth and they'll understand what your business is really all about.